Yes, legends, happy Friday to everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic Friday today and you're getting ready for the weekend to spend with friends, family, and stay safe. Much love to everyone. Let's analyze the situation here all together for the price of Bitcoin, guys. We are basically down and going lower. Are we getting ready for that major bounce? Let me know on the votes, okay, on that poll, and we'll dive in straight away through the comment section, guys. Happy Friday. Nice to see you, everybody here on the stream. Let's analyze the situation. Bit of background music. It is Friday today, so we can get a bit of background music a little bit loud. We just backtest that point of control, guys. We actually lost it. The point of control from this big major range, but what usually happens is that you do get below it on the lower time frame. It's very, very common to cross these point of controls on lower time frame candles. What is mainly important is to close a daily candle above it. Close a weekly, even better, right? We are there. We got the CME futures gap. You know, I don't think, who gives a flying fuck about the CME gap, guys? Really, seriously. I've seen so many CME gap comments at 92k. Literally, who gave a damn, guys, from this gap when we were trading here to the upside? Anyway, it's interesting. Let me know your opinion in the comment section. I'm telling you, the probabilities, you know, of looking for a reversal soon are very, very high, guys. How the price is, it's basically how it's performing and how it's moving is literally not weak. It is not weak and dangerous for a massive waterfall kind of price action. We'll go in detail. Okay, we have to go in detail a little bit to explain, because what we do is talk about probabilities. Of course, you know, it's very, very hard, as mentioned, to catch the bottom. As mentioned in today's video, we're going to chop around on the recent lows. It's going to chop, guys. Anybody that's using high leverage and getting into longs, you know, throughout the last 24 hours is going to have a bad time to try and manage those positions if you don't have a stop loss and acceptance of an invalidation. I'm saying, you know, if you want to enter a small position, got a fast stop loss, and then add to that position once we get some kind of a sign of strength, trend reversal, is always the best thing that you can do. Small position, just to say, okay, I catch the bottom, which really nobody really cares. We are downtrending heavily, guys, so chopping around and creating some 4-5s here is possible. If you are looking to catch the low, make sure you do it responsibly with low capital. Leverage doesn't matter. Leverage is just a tool. But you know, I'm seeing some very, very good signs for the price to chop here in this zone, claim the lows, maybe one more time, maybe two more times, but ultimately not waterfall. I would not expect a capitulation to get down below $90,000, and I can be completely wrong, guys. You know, but overall, it is an interesting area. You know what is bad, and what would be a first kind of good sign short term is to really get back above that point of control that we have from 2024 and 2025 that was, you know, beautifully back tested. That's where we got the reaction today, guys. This horizontal line is that big major point of control, which is a major level. It's actually back testing as resistance. No bueno in a downtrend, big resistance. You're breaking support and it's flipping as resistance. This is this point of control right over here. I think the bulls will probably have make an effort to close today below that point of control. And if you close slightly below it, you know, it doesn't really matter, right? A lot of people are very, very, put a lot of voice and effort on it, you know, the weekly close, the daily close. I mean, it is true that it does, you know, it would be nice, but to close above it. But yeah, there's much more to to daily and weekly candle closes, guys, and moving averages. The 50 weekly moving average has got so much power into it, because literally it has been the one that, once you got that weekly close beneath it on the previous bull run, you literally started a bear market. We held it as support throughout the last few years in this bull run, and very, very likely we do have that weekly close beneath it this week, which we just have a few days. And if we pump throughout the weekend, we're going to leave a CME gap, right? If we pump throughout the weekend, we'll be having a huge gap, guys. What do you think about that? Well, it has to be filled, right? As many would expect. Anyway, we need to talk about why there is a good chance of reversing at some point soon without really, capitulating here from this point, right? I think it's relatively obvious to understand that. But we'll go a little bit in detail, okay? Just so you get an idea why the bearish scenarios of capitulating from where we are at this moment, they are low, guys. They are low, and that all has to do with how the price action has moved down here. How did we get from here and from here, the lower highs, how did we get down there? And that's crucial to understand. I see it already without doing anything on the chart. I see the candlesticks, and I can see, literally the probabilities. And that's what I want to share with you eventually today. Yesterday, look no further, guys. The probabilities were to roll down. There's nothing bullish. We're downtrending. There's nothing bullish about this move. Holy smokes, this is super bearish. And, we actually analyzed the scenario of rolling down here below $99,000, right, on yesterday's stream. Right? We were very, very bearish on yesterday's stream, looking at the probabilities of no longs, guys, to be taken anywhere in this zone. The risk of breaking down in a wave 3 yesterday was so huge. We literally, the timing is like, if it doesn't happen now, it's happening in a couple of days, potentially. But the risks were very, very high just by reading the momentum and the chart. It was just highly likely that we were going to get that move down, right? Just because of the technicals, guys. We're analyzing, is this an ABC? And this pump here was impulsive? I don't think so. The movement down even looks impulsive here, does not look corrective. So yeah, we have 1 2 1 2 being the most bearish scenario, and then capitulate down potentially in the next 1 to 2 days. It happened in the last 24 hours. So overall, we need to understand the probability side of the chart, right? Candlesticks. We obviously build it up with Elliott Wave theory, but I want to go a little bit into detail. We're trying to tackle here that big point of control. This is a very, 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 very classic scenario, guys, where you drop below on the lower time frames. You're going to get so many people interested in longing anywhere here throughout the last 24 hours. 99, 97, 96, which is okay, but there's people using too much leverage, and there's people that are going to be underwater, not knowing how to handle the situation. But getting below the point of control on the lower time frames doesn't matter, a couple of $1,000, and recovering to close a major daily candle or the weekly candle, which is eventually in 2 days, is just incredibly common, guys, right? Get below it, break it, get to max fear moment. We got some, levels that are interesting. CME gap to be filled, lower, lower, lower. And then obviously, at some point you look for that recovery above that point of control. It doesn't need to happen, but it does happen a lot when you have such a major point of control on the volume profile. So let's dive in through the comment section. We'll be breaking down a little bit, guys. It is Friday. I'm just going to keep this live for about an hour max. maybe 45 minutes, just breaking down a little bit Bitcoin. What could we expect throughout the weekend? Weekends are usually slow, but who knows? After getting this aggressive drop, it might get a nice bounce. It might range. Ranging is very, very common for the weekend. So we are going to discuss a little bit of the different possibilities and why there is low probability in breaking down, right? Breaking down successfully has low probability, and eventually we're looking for exhaustion to happen and get a significant bounce. Okay, so let's go right away through the comment section. I can see a lot of hearts here. Ethereum, we could take a look at Ethereum, guys, but Bitcoin is the king. Bitcoin is the meat and potatoes of crypto, right? We can take a look at Ethereum later on. Okay, maybe. All right, let's focus on Bitcoin. Who wants me to do Ethereum, guys? We're literally doing Bitcoin. We only need one asset to make a few gains, right? Make a few bucks for the weekend. Whoever got into any shorts, guys, throughout the last few days, absolutely phenomenal. The probabilities were higher to claim below 99k. The bounces that we had were looking very corrective throughout the last few days. We were speculating on 107k to possibly be the ABC move from the drop that we had last week, and then roll down throughout the last few days. Only an internal scalp long to be taken at a major confluence level, but it's a scalp. Remember, this is not the low to recover to go to all-time highs. It's only little bounces. Anybody that was interested in scalping that 101.3k level, which we did get a little bounce of a few $1,000s, and ultimately yesterday really looking for the move down below 99k. So this is where we are at the moment. So we need to structure a little bit of the different probabilities. Most of the scenarios that I'm going to explain today are looking for a significant relief rally soon. Of course, there is the choppiness of the 4-5 situation. That's the thing that we are aware, but that will only be good. That is what's going to reward the patient traders. The patient traders that will go through the chop are the ones that are going to obviously reward themselves, because if you were to get that choppiness or a sign of strength, okay, I'm going to explain a little bit on how the price needs to move here to be confident on a setup. Okay, that point of control is acting as resistance. The bulls are trying their best to get back above that point of control of 2024 and 2025 range here. I think they're really gonna do their best. Obviously, we are at max fear, and we are tackling that level throughout the last, give or take 2 hours or so, right? And it's a hard level. It's been a hard support early this morning, and it's been a hard resistance at the moment. We are going to discuss a few things, guys. Make sure to stay tuned. Don't worry, right? We have a few things to discuss based on the chart analysis, and we are at resistance, unfortunately, right now. But we're going to discuss a little bit on how to map this situation, right? So far, multiple 1-2s and the big move down with the highest amount of volume. We're getting lots of buying pressure down here. Lots of longs entering here, which is, I'm not too fond of too many longs entering the market, I have to say. But yeah, we got 17 million longs entering here on Bybit. But it was good. It was, it's pretty obvious because you got lots of shorts entering the market here as well. At $95,000, lots of millions of shorts entering at the lows, which is obviously not the greatest idea when we know the price can reverse. You can short the bounces, there's no doubt about it, but we are at resistance at the moment, so it would be better to speculate on a short where we at now than at the lows here, right? Anyway, let's I'm very interested in a major swing long, guys. You can be positioned. I do believe that we are going to be seeing a major recovery bounce in the next couple of weeks. We'll be discussing a little bit of the lower time frame. First, higher time frame. Not much really to talk about exactly here. I don't see any major setup at the moment. I want to map the situation here. We've just been rolling down pretty aggressively. We got the chance at these pivots to maybe have the low in. There is a chance, guys. I need to explain it. But till you do not get a good impulsive move reclaiming levels of resistance, you know, you could obviously expect slightly lower levels on this downtrend. So let's just quickly go through the comment section, say hello to the community here, and we'll dive in right away. Just to explain 4 or 5 scenarios that I'm looking at on Bitcoin. Where could we see, opportunities when we talk about day trading, right? Maybe a swing trade, obviously. And that's what we do, guys, right? We don't have a crystal ball. We need to adapt to the situation. So far, we've been doing okay with calling, the probability scenarios and based on technical analysis, not because I'm special. It's just pure technical analysis, okay? Welcome, legends. Kevin, my man, much love. Let's go. RF8588. Long. Let's go. It is interesting to look for longs down here, no doubt. ¿Cómo estás? Vamos, Empora. Sug, how are you doing? Much love. Crucified, good morning for trading, ready for some awesome TA. Thank you very much, my man. BTC recovered to 100K today. Yeah, this theory about closing a daily candle above the point of control, kind of makes sense. They want to get back above. This is a major level. You can wick beneath it. Well, that's, what you want to see some, higher time frame candles close such a big level, right? It's such a big level. Dropping below it on the lower time frame, yeah, that's all cool, guys. The choppiness here to execute, the major longs that are getting in here, saying the low is in, it's gonna happen soon, and they enter longs, either at 99, maybe at the double bottom, maybe at 100K, maybe at 97, and using too much leverage and capital, and you can get chopped out with a $2,000 move. So, it's just as easy as giving a bit of room for your stop loss, using a small percentage. We will get signs of strength at some point, and that's when you can go a little bit more heavy and a little bit with more confidence on those trading setups. Let's go just continue through the comment section here. And Ethereum, lots of hearts. Yeah, first of all, we do Bitcoin. Buenos dias, brother nature. Guys, thank you for joining, okay? Enough talk. We're pumping. Alil. Please do analysis on Ethereum. Come on. Bitcoin is the king. Bitcoin is the one. Smash the like button. Put on mascara. Daily chart shows wave 3 down here by my count. Maybe I am wrong. Yeah, maybe I am wrong. Hello, Andy. Much love, Mike, to you. Hola, smart money. Much love to you, my man. All in. I have a few limits set between 90 and 80K for a long. Okay. Maybe we were to go down there. However, on the bullish case scenario, 90K is an invalidation. So I'm not sure if we will reach $90,000. The highest probability pattern on the higher time frame is a contracting diagonal. And 90K is the invalidation. So I'm not sure if we're going to reach it before getting a significant bounce. This is why this area is really attractive to try and catch the Chainlink is up 150% today. I don't think so, my man. Not today. Can we look at SEC? 44 likes. Alright. Really? Are we at 44 likes? We got over 400 people watching? You gotta be kidding me. 44 likes. Alright. 88 likes. Still relatively bad. BTC is the playground for all the coins. Yes, sir, it is true. Okay, enough comment section, guys. People are here for analysis, not me reading the comment section, right? Are you here for analysis? Or are you here for me to read every single comment section? Every single comment in the comment section. Hi, Andy, can you do the technical? Yes, I can. Enough reading comment section. Okay. Right. Where do we start? right? Where do we start, right? I love it because, no matter how much experience you have, even though you've been 10 years looking at the Bitcoin chart every single day for hours and trying to identify the moves, every day is a fresh day. Every day is day one, okay? For every trader out there, with no matter how much experience you have. So every day I need to, kind of identify how we got down to a level, what levels of support do we have, right? And does it make sense for any reversal or any continuation? I have something here for you. The highest probability pattern that we have from the rejection of all-time high, okay? The highest probability pattern that we do have is a contracting diagonal. There is a simple reason why. When we do see, this movement down, this bounce, pretty clear that that's the wave move down, that's the wave move up. If we aren't going to consider anything that capitulates down from this zone, we would have to label this as another 1 and 2 right there. However, this second wave 1, it's very, very 3-wavy. The market likes to get into very tricky scenarios where a 3-waver, it might look like a 3-waver, but it's a 5-waver. But this one looks very, very much so like a 3-wave structure, which is important to identify the weak points. So for me to consider this a second wave 1 and this a wave 2, let's get that out of the way for the moment, is very, very low probability, because this movement down is much clearer as a 3-waver. So that's a good point to recognize. That's a good point to recognize. If this would have been a 4 and a 5, and then we got this bounce, then it's not looking great. 1, 2 is very much on the cards. And yeah, things can get really, really bad. But that was not the case. We actually got a bounce here, not forming a 4 and a 5, and we overlapped this pivot. That is good. So we do not get a big breakdown. Just because of this right now, just explaining a little bit of, when I have my morning coffee and I try to analyze the waves and the scenarios and the probability side, you realize that breaking down here massively, like a capitulation, is unlikely. The probabilities are lower. So when we do consider, maybe what about this being a wave 1 and this being a wave 2 and this being 1, 2, 1 and 2? We discussed this yesterday. And the probabilities for this is also low, because your second wave 1 and 2 is also much larger than the first 1 and 2, but significantly larger, as you can see. And that's very, very uncommon. It is uncommon to happen. And as technical analysts and guys that look for probability, you guys are all girls, right? I'm not sure who watches me. I think I have a 5% female audience, not much, guys. Could do better on that side. Then we try and study the probability side, right? That's what we do. We try and identify probabilities so we can get into a trade and make a few bucks, right? Most importantly, really protect our capital, most importantly, which most of the people do not do, right? And go heavily into positions. So the multiple 1, 2 here has a low probability for a wave 3 capitulation, right? Lots of support down here. So with that conclusion of this downtrend from all-time high, lower time frame is different. We were bearish yesterday and throughout the last week, guys. We were really looking for a lower high here and come down to 99k. So we were sticking on the bearish side for a few days. And now it's now is the moment to be excited for a reversal to happen. We'll go in the little time frames here because we need to discuss this move. That's the most important move on the lower time frame for the intraday entries. This is the wave that is important right now to us, but just we need to zoom out ever so slightly so we can explain the probabilities of the higher time frame, which overall the probabilities is on the higher time frame, look for a reversal. Okay, lower time frames could be a little different, a little choppiness, test the low again. Yeah, all of that, it doesn't really matter. But on the higher time frames, the probability pattern that we have is the contracting diagonal. Now, the thing is about this contracting diagonal is that your invalidation is at $90,000, 89.9 to be a little bit more exact. Diagonal invalidation. So there is room here below, 96, 94, maybe 92K, and that gap is filled. The contracting diagonal, no, it doesn't really matter if you break the support trend. The hard invalidation is that it cannot be longer than your wave 3. Then we got a few problems eventually if we were to come all the way down there. 1-to-1 extension is 99K. And this is the highest probability pattern, as explained. Multiple 1-2s, to break down here, low probability. Very, very low probability. So the highest probability pattern is a contracting diagonal from all-time high. And if the invalidation is $90,000, you are very much aware that in between 90K and the lows at 99K is a zone where you're likely going to form a bottom and get a bounce. It's a big wide range, but that's when you go to the 15-minute time frame and you really analyze the lower time frame waves. So I'm just a messenger here to say the probabilities are higher to actually bounce in this area. Okay, so that's higher time frame. Lower time frame is where we have the meat and potatoes, right? Where we have the action. So let's do a little bit of lower time frame, right? Just to want to discuss, and eventually all of this is coming down to a major level of support. Major level of support. That big point of control. We're already trading above it. It's trying to close that daily level above that point of control. Very classic. Very classic. Lower time frame. You break a major level, and then before the day ends, you start recovering above it. Things to discuss here. If we were not to close a daily candle and get above and start getting a significant bounce in the next 1 to 2 days, we still have a lot of support before getting to below $90,000, which is the invalidation of the contracting diagonal, right? Remember, the highest probability pattern here from all-time high for the moment, as we have this information, is that contracting diagonal. And the invalidation is at 90K. So you don't want the price to really hit $90,000. And the route down to $90,000 is where we have all of the big support zones on the higher time frame. Big point of control, which was dropped on the lower time frame. That's okay. That's fine. Very classic to, on the 15-minute, 1 hour time frame, get below or above certain levels of resistance, and then, throughout the day, potentially recover above them or below them, right? If it is resistance. What we also have, the CME gap is coming down to $92,000, right? Beneath this little range zone. We do have a naked point of control eventually as well from this consolidation. And what we do have is the most respected Fibonacci retracement level, which is the golden pocket, which is coming down at $94,000 to $93,000. Right? That was ever so slightly gently tapped, ever so slightly. We probably missed it by $1. Okay? Golden pocket, the most respected Fibonacci retracement, is coming down in between 93 and 94, right? So point of control, golden pocket from a major pivot low to pivot high. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of support. And the highest probability pattern, funny enough, when we consider Elliott Wave theory, is actually the contracting diagonal instead of multiple 1-2s and, you know, breaking down in a capitulation. So the probabilities are high to get a bounce in this area. Probabilities are high to actually find support here in the next coming days. So, I mean, that's something that you tick when you do your higher time frame analysis. The probabilities of capitulating from where we at are low, and the probabilities of bouncing are high. And that's very important. That's where you need to dive in through the 15-minute time frame, 1 hourly, 15-minute, and understand your latest move to the downside. Because I understand the move down that we have from all-time high. Multiple 1-2s in capitulation, low probability. Contracting diagonal, higher probability. What is in my best interest is to analyze the last lower high to see how we moved to the downside and consider 3 or 4 scenarios that could happen. Eventually, out of those 3-4 scenarios, you're going to start getting a few of them off as they do hit invalidation levels, and then you keep your highest probability scenario. So, I mean, this is why on the higher time frame, it's you know, we are at the highest probability pattern, right? As explained, when you start this momentum to the downside, you're going to have all sorts. Maybe this is the low from ABC flat and we'll go to all-time high. Maybe it is a 1-2 and then your third wave is going to be this one, right? 1 2 3, you're going to continue down. But as the momentum develops, you're going to, you know, it's going to come to a close end, right? It comes to a close end. And, you know, as mentioned, you only have a few options here. One of them being this one, right? Where you have the big 1 and 2 and then 1 2 1 2 and then capitulate. And obviously then you have the contracting diagonal with your invalidation at 90k. So you can chop down all the way down to the 91k and this pattern would still be valid, right? Not this one, this one. Then there's a little bit of the confusion pattern, because then there is this one, which is going to be the confusing one, where you get a bounce, but the bounce ends up very corrective in the next coming days, right? You get a bounce, boom, 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 and there's so much overlap and crap here going on that this bounce does not look impulsive. And we detect that, right? We are here to detect that throughout the streams. We cannot speculate on it now because, you know, nothing's happened. We're just rolling over lower highs, you know, no major signals of major reversals just as of yet. But we can detect them. We were very much aware of this being corrective, very much aware of this being corrective also, right? A few days ago, realizing that, you know, it does look better for this to, you know, look for an ABC to the upside and look for that reversal at 107k area, right? We're looking for the price to potentially top out in this region. So we try and detect the momentum, but we need the momentum eventually, right? We need that information. So this would be a little bit confusing just because there is a way of counting this movement to the downside as impulsive, as explained in today's video. We got the biggest move down with the highest amount of volume here throughout the last 24 hours, which gives the potential of forming a few 4-5s here, just because yesterday we have the possibility of forming this 1 2 1 2 3, right? 3 getting developed here, high volume, and that always gives you the possibility of forming a lower high, another low, and a lower high and another low, right? It just gives you that possibility. Now the problem is, if this is going to be impulsive, if we are looking for an ending diagonal here, it needs to be a 3-wave structure. All the waves need to be developed by 3, 3, 3, and 3. And this doesn't look very 3-wavy. There is a way of counting a 3-wave here, but it's very, very hard to confirm with the information that we have. So ultimate confirmation for me is pretty clear. You would have to get a pretty strong impulse invalidating the wave fours from this downtrend that we've had in the last few days, which, you know, can be discussed on the lower time frame. However, what we would have to be paying close attention is that if this bounce does look more corrective, then eventually we could be looking for one more low to finish the fifth wave. Okay, can kind of get a little bit of people bullish on the bounce, heading to 101k, and then smack down and then get the bounce, right? You know, some things that we need to consider. Just because we claim this low doesn't mean that this has to be the wave 5 of the contracting diagonal. You could still get one cheeky bounce that is corrective, get people bullish, and smack back down to the lows and then recover. Market likes to be cheeky. So we consider the cheeky moves as well. We're ready for the cheeky moves. Because if this does happen, then this would be the ultimate long position. This is a higher time frame double bottom that I am very interested in. Very, very interested in. If we were to form this formation. Dead cat bounce. This is it, guys. The low is in, recovery or whatever, even just hitting 100k, right? Which we were well above yesterday. It's enough for people to get, you know, hyped up. And then really be overlappy and corrective. And it's like, whoa, I'm not sure if this is going to be the one. I'm probably looking for internal short positions to claim the low again. And then this would be the one that I would say, this is probably it. You know, that's bringing the price into max fear again. Claiming the lows without hitting $90,000 and then looking for that recovery. That this could take a few days to develop. I'm not giving this priority. I'm just giving this a possibility. I'm giving this a possibility, and the main reason why is because an ending diagonal has to be developed with 3 waves, right? And this does look quite impulsive. There is a way of counting this as a corrective structure, as explained today. I think it's a little bit ferocious. It has the reason for this to be the low, and that would be a double zigzag. I mean, obviously this wave Y, highest amount of volume, that's what you want to see here on the latest move. You know, it can be labeled. It can be labeled as a double zigzag, but you know, this is just very, very hard. It is hard to say, you know, even this could have been the low, even this one, you know, even another low, and I would still consider that you can count a double zigzag. So they are very, very complex, and they can create a few lows on the movement down here. But the only major sign of strength that you would have here to really believe that this is the low, which is very, very difficult at this moment, guys. You know, this is difficult trading right over here. Yesterday and the last few days, you know, kind of easy-ish trading. A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish your C wave. We're looking for a double top or the rejection at a point of control that we had at 107.5k. 2 levels. The one that rejects, we enter the short. You know, that's just easy reading. Yesterday probabilities were higher, 1 2 1 2. If it's not a 1 2 and this is an ABC, is this move looking impulsive? Not really. So easier reading to identify the highest probability scenarios, but as we're moving down here, we do have a few options. It's just really, we've only just moved down very aggressively yesterday with increasing volume, and it makes it hard because no matter if we do have lots of support here, you know, we have so many different options here for a few 4-5s. Okay, a few you have this scenario or this scenario. They both work, because you consider the movement from this high that we had on the 11th of November, as we were discussing yesterday, right? We were you know, anticipating that this could happen yesterday, right? We were anticipating that this move to the downside with increasing volume and aggressive could happen, right? This is what we were anticipating yesterday, as in this could happen, right? Based on the waves and the analysis. 1, 2, 1, 2. This bounce very corrective. This move down looks impulsive. It might be a mini 1 and 2, and we're looking for the rollover. So as that rollover happened, this is where it gets a little bit complex, because as you have increasing volume and you're still rolling to the downside and the waves are very, very small, we don't have a clear sign. Wave 4s are usually a bit longer, okay, a bit longer in time, or similar in time from your wave 2s. And, you know, this is the thing right now. You could get a little move up, attempt to break above, you know, above that point of control at 96.5 successfully, and then roll back down to the lows and then move up and back down to the lows. It's just something that you need to consider, that could happen, because if you have a double 1, 2 and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is the moment where you have the increasing volume throughout the drop and increasing volume after multiple 1, 2s. You always need to label as the wave 3 structure. You know, you always give it the priority, the highest probability. If you have a couple of 1, 2s, like, you know, slowly moving to the downside, and then you have the bigger move with high volume, you always need to consider giving priority that's wave 3, you know, environment, right? It's wave 3 behavior. And the problem is here, you can't really fit a few 4, 5s, right? Because what if I said, well, this has been your wave 3, that's been your wave 4, there's no overlap, that's the gap that you need in a wave 3. You want to leave the territory where you have wave 1s and 2s, where there's overlap from the pivot lows. There's overlap right over here with this bounce. And the moment that you don't have overlap is the moment that you start labeling a wave 3. This bounce did not overlap, and it is the one with the increasing volume. So you know that you're already forming wave 3 territory here. And always when you have this, you really need to you know, try and identify the price slowing down. We didn't slow down too much really throughout this drop. We continued dropping throughout early this morning after this bounce. So the problem is, could I label this as a wave 4, right? You know, going with something completely different here. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4. You do have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So you get another, you've got 1, 5 here. And now you get one more 4 and 5. Was this your wave 3? You know, that's the thing. I would consider this wave 4 being very, very small if you want to label it from these higher time frame wave 2s. I prefer labeling all of this part of your wave 3, having your wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That looks better. You do have increasing volume in this movement down. This wave 4 is quite small in time compared to this wave 2 or this wave 2. So I like to keep this as still the wave 3. Conclusion. The conclusion is we could be looking for a couple of 4, 5 still to develop, getting below 94, maybe even 92k, right, at max pain zone, before a reversal, right, which would be this one right over here, or maybe even this one, right, that you could fit the wave 3 here from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now you only have a 4 and a 5 left. You know, it's the thing is about all of this 4-5 nonsense, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh man, it's just super confusing, right? Why, what the heck, right? I don't even want to listen to all of this because there's so many scenarios. Well, as there's so many scenarios, you're going to start eliminating a few of the scenarios, and you just have left one or two. You know, that's the magic of really having several setups, and you need to start eliminating. If we do get, you know, this bounce and another low, and you fail to move beneath this low, I'm like, you know, this is the moment of reversing. I don't care if we claim the low again or not, but looking for double bottoms here is the chance. Stopped out, break even, another double bottom, and maybe that's the one. That's the moment that you're looking for the reversal, because in a nutshell here, you're looking for that, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The gap with high volume happens, you know, in this zone. And that's where it gets confusing, choppy. You know, people are going to get tired if they use too much leverage and they're not trading responsibly, and they don't know what they're really looking for, right? It's just a bunch of volatility. I don't understand it. I'd rather work, you know, watch another channel that's, you know, looking at a 2 moving averages and the death cross, you know, which I understand. You know, this is not easy. It's not easy. It's all trying to identify the highest probability move at the end of the day, right? And I really try and keep it simple sometimes. I mean, the last few days has been simple. You know, this move on Tuesday, Monday to Tuesday, it's pretty simple to understand. ABC, you want 5 waves and a C wave, you're coming into a confluent zone. Sometimes it is easier to detect your shorting zones, your entry, double top, stop above the high of the wick, right? Yesterday, you know, I was late on this move, but based on the entry, but it was a perfect entry right there at 103.2k on the rejection of that wick, saying that's maybe your entry, guys, before we capitulate down. So whoever, maybe some brave people did enter as we were moving down here, and they were happy just to have a stop loss at the highs, believing that we were going to come down to 92. But it's relatively easier sometimes that we do identify things, right? As traders and technical analysts, sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder, right? And then when it's hard, you want to stay defensive, you want to wait for clear signs, and that's what we try and do, right? So, you know, reversal signs, like I said, you can be a little bit brave and enter a small long position in this area, as explained, as the higher time frame probabilities is not getting below 90k. Could you chop down again to 94, maybe 92? So getting very, very close. You can still, based on the 4-5 scenario. Now there is one bullish case, which is the WXY, double zigzag. There is a valid way to fit one in here. And, you know, you just need to consider it, just because we are coming down to such a huge level of support. When we see the levels, you got the golden pocket area, right? You do have a naked point of control from this little range. You got the point of control from this entire range, which we dip below. We're trying to get above it at the moment, right? Not really succeeding very, very well. We're trying to wick above it. We're trying to, you know, bulls are doing their best to close that daily candle above the point of control, which they might succeed. Not that I really care too much, but it's a big cluster, right? Big cluster. Even the CME gap at $92,000, and the highest probability pattern is that contracting diagonal. So looking for signs of weakness on the bears, signs of exhaustion, is what you want to do if you are, you know, because a swing long, this is a swing longing area. This is to get ready. This is a get ready area for swing longs. And just be aware that the choppiness is very real. You're going to be lots of shakeouts here. This is the shakeout zone. So, I mean, yeah, it's all depending on your risk appetite. You can always enter a small position here in this zone, as explained in today's video update. Just be aware that you can claim the lows 1, even 2 times, but a successful breakdown from the lows as a capitulation is not expected. yeah, this is expected. Yeah, that's okay, but not a successful breakdown. So double bottoms become interesting. Double bottoms do become interesting, especially from this point. If this were to be the low, which has not been, it's not easy to identify, you know, even a double zigzag would have, it's okay here. It's even okay here. When you go through the mini waves, there are ways to count, to fit in 1, 2, 3, this 4, and maybe this the 5th wave right over here. Sorry, not my bad. That would be on the impulse on the wave 3. I mean the zigzag down here. So you got the move down, corrective structure, and then the 5 waver down to finish your ABC. You know, funny enough, the double zigzag target zone is 1-to-1 1236 Fibonacci zone from your wave W. If you get your Fibonacci extension from wave W to wave X, you're literally at the common area to bottom out on a double zigzag, preferably not hitting the 1.618, which is at 93.2. So for the most bullish case scenario, it would be in your best interest that this is a double zigzag and it's not an impulsive move in 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, right? Where you actually, you know, form a few 4, 5s here and claim below the recent lows a couple of times. Double bottoms here is without a doubt the best entry zone. Problem is, will we get the double bottoms? This is why if you're, you know, feeling like catching the bottom, you know, getting into a small position, you know, and then maybe adding on a sign of strength is an option. But this is the moment where it's interesting for double bottoms, without a doubt, based on the impulsive move, wave 3 in the middle with the highest amount of volume. Preferably you get the timing similar to the wave 2s. Preferably it's similar. This being a wave 4 right there, it's a little bit too small. And I would consider all of this part of the same wave. So bear with me here, guys. It's a little bit mixed up. It is Friday. I'm going out for dinner with the missus very, very soon. And a little bit tired, but I wanted to do a live stream just to go walk through the different scenarios. If this were to be the low, which is at the target level to be a low in a double zigzag, not the best. This is a small little correction. Preferably you do get, you know, a little bit longer and then move down, and it's a nice zigzag move. But it would be a valid count already to consider the correction on this ABC. It's valid, you know, it's a bounce, it's a 3-wavy structure. Timing would be nice a little bit more, but, you know, technical analysis and Elliott Wave theory is not perfect. If it were, it would be very, very easy to make money, and it's not. Just like any other indicator or any other bots or anything, guys, in trading, it's not easy. So, you know, the sign of strength here, bear with me here, legends. The sign of strength, look no further, would be a pretty clear, you know, impulsive move up to get to 101k zone. Big volume here in the middle, little range, nice spike up, right? And a corrective move here to the downside. That's the moment that you would be heavily interested in eventually to really look for long positions, because that would be the first initial sign. And it's never easy, because you know, you are going to be downtrending still from all-time high, and it's our job to identify if this move up is looking more corrective or more impulsive. We do have reasons to believe that the low could be in. You know, if it's not in, it's soon to be in with a few 4-5s. So the thing is, it's in our best interest to see the first leg up, because the price ain't going to shoot up here to 110k in a straight line. In this movement to the upside, you're going to see it move like this. And it's in our best interest to identify that first leg up to be the strong reversal move. So it's just like yesterday, guys, right? Just like yesterday, This looks corrective. This looks impulsive. The probabilities of forming a lower high at this 103k zone is very high. The probabilities are very, very high. You know, the probabilities of rolling over from here are very, very high. So that's what you want to try and identify as the price develops. Not easy at the moment because we've got several options, and when it sucks, guys. When you have several options, it sucks. You just need to remain patient and see how the things align, right? So, you know, and at some point you're going to have clarity. You're going to have clarity of the direction. So, yeah, I mean, that's literally what we got. It's very, very hard to literally say here. There's a high probability that the low is in, because I mean, there's not, at least for my understanding, based on the reading of the chart. If we had a massive rally and we start invalidating the wave 4 levels, which are right over here at the $100,000 to $101,000 range, right? You're literally hitting golden pocket, or you're you know, overlapping your wave 1s of the lower time frame. Then if you move up to the invalidation zone at above 100k to invalidate the continuation of an impulse down with 4/5s, and you do form an impulsive kind of structure to the upside to hit that level, and then you start rolling down in a very, very overlappy corrective structure, something like this but inverted, then that's going to be the moment of confirmation eventually, right? And eventually this can be ferocious and probably not that easy. You get a move down and a move up and overlap, but it will be detectable. It will be detectable at some point, the first leg to the upside, to see that sign of strength. So for the moment, we can't say that the highest probability is WXY, guys. This is the end. We are beneath the point of control. We tried to get above it. Looking a bit weak for the moment, guys. At least locally, even though the higher time frame is telling me that a successful breakdown, not reaching $90,000. It's all about lower time frame is going to stress you out. Lower time frame is going to stress you out, especially if you have the potential forming multiple 4/5s, right, and claiming the low again. Just because you have the highest amount of volume in this movement down. So yeah, you know, chop is part of the game at the moment, and considering this the highest probability that the low is in is very, very difficult at the moment for a double zigzag here. The potential is there. The potential is definitely there, but very, very hard. Anybody that wants to be a bottom catcher, just be aware that you can have smelly fingers. The ideal scenario here would be really getting that, you know, pretty sign of strength, motive wave up, to identify that this is the end of the wave here, and a WXY double zigzag is very much a good chance that this is the wave, that it has finished. You're not looking for continuation to the downside in this wave as an impulse. If you get a 5-wave move up and you get above 100k, that's it. It's done. This wave is done. It's finished. And that's eventually, if we are going to get an ultimate recovery throughout the end of November, beginning of December, the price always moves in waves. You're going to get a move up, a move down, and then another leg to the upside. You're going to get a move down, a bounce, and another leg down. You're going to get a bounce, you're going to get a leg down, and you're going to get another leg up. So it's, you know, we need to really seriously identify this as is it a sign of strength? Is it the end? Is it the move up? Because the problem is here, if we were to get a corrective bounce after claiming lows and all of that nonsense, right? And you get a corrective bounce with overlap, and you can't count a proper 5-wave structure here, the risks of not finishing that contracting diagonal in the second option here are definitely there, right? Where this is the 3-wave structure of the 5th wave, and then you get the movement up. So it's going to be a little bit challenging, but you understand that all of the scenarios that I'm talking about are literally not getting a successful breakdown. And 90k is literally like the hard invalidation for this scenario, and we're looking for the price to bottom out in this range. All of the scenarios is, do we get a bounce one more low? Do we create 4 5s on the lower time frame? And or do we find the low here in a double zigzag WXY, right? And all of the scenarios are looking for the price to bottom out, literally, right? And look for that reversal. Just because the continuation down and capitulate and go below $90,000 has a low probability based on the structure that we have. But the problem is, we could claim the low again and again later on the bounces. But that's what you literally want to see. Big move down. The choppiness here for the 4 5s is very much a possibility. A couple of more lows, then get the bounce. If the price throughout the weekend, were to move down and then another bounce and then another low, and we see by Sunday this price action, look no further, guys. Look no further. This is your confirmation almost that the reversal is happening. And what is funny about this is, this that we have here, literally happened on the lower time frame right over here, right? So you got that little momentum up, the big wave with high volume, and then the price struggling to continue. This on the 5-minute time frame, would be the same as eventually this, right? You got it right over there, reversal time. So you need the information for the moment. Yeah, of course, we do have the WXY. Maybe this is the double zigzag end. You need a sign of strength. This is why, looking for the swing longs to try and catch the bottom here is kind of an option. It's kind of an option. So you just trade it responsibly. Do not risk too much. We are looking for the price to bottom out and potentially not reach $90,000 and look for a significant recovery in the next coming weeks. That's the analysis that I have at the moment in this zone. Throughout the last few days, we were talking about getting below 99k. Here we are. So now it's time now to really start thinking about a strategy to look for the reversal, not be bearish down here, right? We've been bearish throughout the last few days, looking for corrective bounces and looking for shorts on the bounce here. We didn't talk about this one, but ultimately yesterday, talking about how the probabilities of rejecting from here was very, very likely to come down. We are down right now, so we can't be ultimately very bearish here, because that's when we understand on the 4-hourly to say, hey, how did we come down there? What are the probabilities in breaking down here successfully? Well, as pointed out throughout the beginning of the stream, they are actually pretty low. So you take that with a grain of salt. I am not a financial advisor. I'm just a crazy dude on YouTube that for many, has no clue of what he's talking about, or for many is very, very complex and doesn't understand it. And it's easier to say this guy has no clue, right? Because I don't know what the heck he's talking about. Anyway, much love to everybody. Thanks for joining. Staffer1 here with the partners. Thank you very much, Staffer. Always, man. Much love to you, brother. Okay. Very appreciate Staffer1, because he's always been here for many, many weeks. Rudy, my man, much love to you. Thanks for joining the stream. Background music. Let's go through the comment section here ever so slightly, guys. Staffer1 with those awesome partnerships here. BTCC Bluffin. Remember, you do get insane bonuses, guys. Take advantage. 20% cashback on Bluffin ongoing at the moment, guys. You can trade gold even here, and there's hundreds of altcoins as well, okay, apart from Bitcoin eventually, which is the most interesting asset, right, to trade in crypto, at least for me anyway. Altcoins can be very ferocious. BTCC also with a great bonus, $10,000 in rewards, guys. As soon as you sign up, deposit and trade, you're going to get airdrops as you trade of hundreds and even thousands if your volume is high to increase your trading capital. Let's go through the comment section. Much love, Mike. Thank you. You're very welcome, Jigga. How CVD looks? CVD, not much information right now as we've, it's rolling over with the price action. So there's not really great information on the CVD, but there has been shorts entering the market on these drops. And there's been a bunch of longs entering here as well. CVD is not much of help at the moment. Maybe if you do zoom out on the 15-minute, generally shorts entering the market here. We've swept most of the liquidity. Okay, we have swept most of the liquidity to the downside. That's also an interesting take that you need to consider. Extreme fear, is almost about to break to the downside here. So this is the moment where people like to call 92k, 90k, 88k, right? And 88k next, 76k, right? They try and predict those lows. And I'm here to tell you that the probabilities to get to $90,000 are low, guys. You take that with a grain of salt and trade responsibly. Super chat. Let's take a look at the super chat. Hi, Andy. Is Link near to a low for a reversal? Thanks. Chainlink. Haven't checked Chainlink for quite a bit, and it's my biggest altcoin holding. And I have to say, because it's a long-term investment and I'm not looking to sell anywhere unless we get above $30, it's one of those things that I have a good chunk of money inside of Chainlink, but I don't really care about what it does because I have it as not a trading asset. It's a long-term investment. So, but yeah, I'll tell you what, it is actually pretty nice how it's chopping here. A reversal bounce is gearing up here for Chainlink. I don't like the movement down. It does look a little bit impulsive, but a reversal is gearing up for Chainlink here. Let's see if we do have the point of control, which is literally what has been bouncing throughout the last few days. That's interesting. Well, there we go. We've got major support here from this range of part of 2025. Just because of this, we do have a good solid support. And what is interesting on how we moved to the downside, which is kind of what we see here, movement here, down. You got the big wave that you always want to try and consider, the wave 3, the biggest move with the highest amount of volume, and then you get your 4-5s. That's the moment you're looking for eventually the exhaustion, the wedgie structure, and the possible reversal. So double bottoms are actually pretty nice here. We're literally at the lows. I would say that Chainlink is gearing up for a pretty nice reversal in the coming weeks as well, guys. At least to get above this high at $19. $19 would be my first major target. You know the deal. When you form a range after a major drop, you got the dead cat bounce high and the range, the lows have been tested. What happens when you test the lows of a range after a major drop and you test them and you do not break down successfully? You have high probability at some point to get that bounce to hit the range highs at $19. So it is looking good for Chainlink to get a reversal because the movements to the downside is getting exhausted and the big move already happened. And that's what you usually get. You get the big move and then you get exhausted. You got the best example here with Bitcoin, for example. You got these small little movements down, the big one, the dead cat bounce, the low right over here, and then the bounce back up to hit the range highs, right? Range low, range high. So yeah, Chainlink's looking pretty good, if you ask me. Just be aware that it might double bottom, a local double bottom here from the lows of last Tuesday. I would say even an attempt here is okay, or even a second attempt here, because there will be a moment that the downtrend will reverse, in my opinion, in the next coming weeks. Okay, it's an internal reversal. Will it be extremely bullish and we see altcoin season? I don't know, guys, but what we're looking at here is an internal reversal. Just that. Okay, legends, it is Friday. Tom Crown, here he is, the man, the legend. Andy, save us. Much love to you, brother. Thanks for joining the stream, guys. Go and check out Tom Crown. I think he did go live not long ago. Absolutely epic. He's got great education, great live streams, and he does the best FOMC live streams that there is in the crypto space. Shout out to you, my man. Thank you for joining by here. Legends, it is Friday. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for joining. You know the deal. You know the plan. You know what we're looking for, the price of Bitcoin. Unlikely that we go to much lower levels. We're not going to take a look at altcoins, guys. Just Chainlink. Chainlink looks good for a reversal soon. Much love to everybody. Take care. Have a great weekend. Smash up the like button. We didn't do a like button recount. How's the like button looking? Not that many gives a damn about the like button, but I kind of do. I wake up in the morning. I said, oh, my video got 300 likes. Much love, guys. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Enjoy time with friends and family. It's all about enjoying in life, not always trading, technical analysis, and working. Stay safe, guys. Thanks for smashing the like button. Much love, and I'll see you tomorrow.